enjoy themselves once. Hearing Henry's idea, Ariana got excited. She remembered when she went to Rio de Janeiro. She could choose whatever seafood she wanted to eat. It wasn't very expensive. Great, but where should we go? She asked. Her anger completely went away at that moment. Where do you want to go? You can choose, insisted Henry. He would go wherever Ariana wanted to. You need to think about it, responded Ariana. Sure, there's no need to rush. After the situation in Los Angeles stabilizes, we can take a vacation, chuckled Henry. Ariana snorted with laughter. I don't think a vacation is rare for me, because I have so much free time that other students don't have. I only need to go to my university for exams, she pointed out. That's because you're amazing. You're an excellent student, even though you don't go to class. And you own such a large business group, even though you're still in college. Your university is proud of you. If an average student dared to be absent as much as you are, he or she would probably be kicked out, exclaimed Henry. He was extremely proud of Ariana. Not far from the hotel they were staying in was a fancy seafood restaurant, so they went there. Because they didn't have to worry about the cost, Ariana ordered everything she wanted to eat. Although there were only two of them, they ordered enough food for 4 people. Boulder was far from the ocean, so seafood was very expensive here. As a result, her job. The hostess was displeased, but still went back to her work. After putting through the order, the waiter went to the kitchen with the bill, then reminded the cook to prepare food equal to the prices. Hearing that, the cook knew what he should do. Because the restaurant wasn't very busy right now, Ariana's order was quickly served. Ariana and Henry enjoyed their meal and then left together. When they went to pay the bill, the hostess could barely move her eyes from Henry, and she looked at Ariana with obvious jealousy. Ariana slightly frowned, but said nothing. Unfortunately, the hostess wasn't nice. After Henry paid the bill, she blurted out, "He's not your husband, yet you made him pay for that entire meal. How could you spend so much of his money without even thinking about it?" At that point, Ariana couldn't stand it any longer. The woman was so nasty, trying to stir things up between her and Henry. Before Ariana said anything, however, Henry opened his mouth and coldly stared at the hostess, putting pressure on her. "I'm very rich, and my wife can eat whatever she likes. It has nothing to do with you," he retorted. The hostess was scared by Henry's power and immediately froze with horror as her heart started racing. She didn't expect the girl to be his wife. In addition, Henry said that he was very rich and that his wife could eat whatever she liked, which filled the hostess with jealousy. As soon as Henry finished speaking, he ignored the hostess, then grabbed Ariana's hand and walked out. When they were outside, Ariana complimented, "Wow, you look so cool just then." She looked at Henry with admiration, which filled his heart with love. Although she was a strong woman, she was willing to rely on him when she needed him. "Well, I won't sit back and allow someone to humiliate you. You may not be my wife yet, but you will be someday, and you can eat whatever you want. I just want you to be happy," Henry said with great pride. He felt satisfied that Ariana was pleased with him. "You're a example of a great man," Ariana complimented him once more. "Of course, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be worthy of you," chuckled Henry. It sounded a little narcissistic, but it was the truth. "You're right. Only a quality man deserves me," Ariana giggled. She looked slightly arrogant, but Henry felt she looked adorable. Whether she was arrogant.
That's already pretty bad.
That's true. You make a great point now, too.
No, this is like control pills will soon be a thing. Could you trust your man to use them?
Any woman who thinks their man can trust their man with male birth control is a moron.
It's gonna get pregnant.
It's gonna get pregnant. I don't know how it happened.
You're gonna get pregnant.
Just tell them to set a calendar reminder.
There's no way you can trust a man with the birth
I
control.
think we have to give men a little bit of
I
credit.
think the man will remember at the end of the week and try to shove them all in his mouth at once.
Seven at one time.
Seven.
Like that's gonna work.
And then an eighth just in case.
Yeah, 8 birth controls. I just took 8 birth controls.
So we're good, babe.
We're good, baby. Let's
Here.
do it. Yeah, there'd be a lot more unplanned pregnancies if men were allowed to. If men have birth control.
And you're letting them be in control of it?
But this might be a reality because it looks like this is going to be available soon.
Would you trust your man? That's a good question.
Yes.
999 is our text line. Those are 2 excellent stories. You can text us drunk Florida man if you want to hear story number 2.
No, that's story number 1.
Story number 1, excuse me. Story number 2 is the male birth control. You can text oopsie pregnant. That's the key word.
Yes.
For story number 2.
Very fitting.
stole baby products and traded them for drugs in Mississauga. CBC Toronto's JP Galliardo has the story.
Over $60,000 worth of stolen goods, drugs, and cash were recovered by Peel Police after a 4-month investigation into a group allegedly stealing baby products such as formula from local retailers and exchanging them for illicit drugs. David Lang is a staff sergeant at Peel Police.
Baby formula is expensive, relative for people purchasing childcare products and stuff. So maybe it was an item that was being asked for from the drug trafficker.
Investigators were able to arrest the suspects after community members in Mississauga's Meadowvale area tipped off police about suspicious activity in the neighborhood. Police seized the stolen goods after searches at 2 locations. Dr. Allison Kemper is an associate professor at TMU.
It's a very bizarre thing to hear that baby formula is so high value that it's being used as a medium for illicit trade.
The 11 suspects are facing 33 charges, including theft under $5,000 and possession of property obtained by crime. JP Galliardo, CBC News, Toronto.
We're learning about new allegations surrounding a drunk driving incident involving a Toronto police officer 2 years ago. Detective Constable Jason Bogue pleaded guilty to impaired driving and professional misconduct after he crashed his vehicle in the township of King. At the time, the Toronto Police Services Tribunal called it an off-duty incident, but according to disciplinary charges against Bogue's superior, Detective Mark Beeson, Bogue, and 4 other officers were allegedly drinking while on duty. After his shift ended, Bogue crashed into a dump truck on Highway 400. Beeson is accused of falsifying paperwork to make it look like the team was off duty while they were drinking. CBC News attempted to reach Beeson. The police union said he had no comment. He's scheduled back in front of the tribunal next month. Well, Toronto's latest multi-millionaire is sharing his story. Bojang May says he was skeptical when he received a call from the Ontario Lottery Gaming Corporation to say he was a $60 million winner. Bojang was the winner of a May 649 gold ball jackpot draw, but when OLG phoned him, he originally thought it was a scam call. The software engineer says the money will help his parents retire. He also plans to buy a new house, go back to school, and, of course, travel. Beloved Toronto Pool is celebrating its 100th birthday. Sunnyside Pool opened in July of 1925. It was opened for those who couldn't take a dip in the lake due to its cold temperatures. Originally called the Tank, the pool sits right beside the bathing pavilion, which has been around since 1922. It was also part of the Sunnyside Amusement Park, which was torn down in the 50s. Bridget Cammy is an editor with the Toronto Journal, a literary magazine that dives into Toronto's history.
At its peak, this area was actually popular for the whole city. They even had a free streetcar that went around the whole city and picked up children and brought them here for free for decades in the 20s and 30s. Also, Pool in the Pavilion, they're from this time when the city did grand things like this, and 1/8 of the city's population would gather here for events, which is not something you really see today.
The pool was believed to be the largest outdoor pool in the world at some point. The city says upwards of 500,000 people visit the pool annually. And lastly, an iconic Canadian band is celebrating 40 years of making music. High school friends Jim Cuddy and Greg Keeler didn't really hit it big until they formed Blue Rodeo in the 1980s. They've been together ever since, and to celebrate, they played a free acoustic set in the Distillery District yesterday afternoon. CBC's Tyler Cheese was there.
That's Jim Cuddy and Greg Keeler of Blue Rodeo playing one of their biggest hits, Lost Together. Despite yesterday's heat, fans like Patrick Newman came out to the distillery to celebrate the band's 40 years.
I think Blue Rodeo happened since I was a kid, so it's pretty cool seeing all this close. It's loved it.
Local MVP Chris Glover, a self-proclaimed superfan, was also there.
I got to thank the Distillery District for bringing all the people together, for providing this musical opportunity for the community. This is what makes Toronto so much fun to be in the summertime.
Cuddy and Keeler took the stage for about 40 minutes, playing other hits, including 5 Days in May, Hasn't Hit Me Yet, and It Could Happen to You. The band was officially formed in 1984 with their first show here in Toronto in 1985. They've since become one of the most beloved bands in the country. They've been playing shows all over Canada this summer with an annual show at Budweiser Stage on August 23rd. After that, they'll embark on their official 40th anniversary tour this fall. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
That is the CBC News. Kevin's back with a look at the drive.
Yeah, the bright sun causing a few delays on many eastbound routes right now, and construction was causing heavy delays southbound 400 at Aurora Road as you approach there, where just the left lane was getting by for road work. So things are just beginning to thin out there. The eastbound Aurora Road ramp has reopened as well, and Toronto-bound QEW through Grimsby around Ontario Street, only the left lane was getting by there, but traffic looks like it's beginning to ease as things build eastbound on the Gardner, westbound Gardner approaching Parkside. Watch for a stalled truck blocking your right lane. Nicole's back with your forecast.
So it's going to be sunny today, a high of 31 degrees. It's going to feel closer to 37 with the humidex. We still have a heat warning in effect. The sky will clear up this evening. Risk of a thunderstorm overnight, a low of 20 degrees. And then tomorrow, mainly cloudy. We've got a chance of showers and the risk of a thunderstorm tomorrow, a high of 30. Again, it's going to feel closer to about 35 tomorrow with the humidity. Right now, downtown Toronto, it is 22 degrees and mainly clear.
It's so funny because working these hours, one of the questions I always get is, when do you go to bed? And about your relationship to time. And I was reading an article that was really interesting, and it put people in two categories: monochronic and polychronic.
Okay.
And so the monochronic person, in terms of their relationship to the clock, are very structured. If they're preparing a presentation and somebody tries to interrupt them, they won't pick up the phone because they'll just stay on task and not deviate. The polychronic person will give room for relationships and interruptions and is much more flexible on time.
Okay, I think that's probably me. Except
pointing at
yeah,
fingers,
yeah.
by the way.
I think that second one is probably more me, except when it comes to my bedtime. So everyone in my life knows if you call me 8 o'clock, anytime after 8 o'clock, you're not going to get me. It better be a serious emergency because it's not happening. I don't care who it is. 8 o'clock is my cutoff time. Don't call me after that.
I fully understand exactly where you're coming from. I'm not so hard up on when I go to sleep, but for me, it's those midday naps. Get a little exercise, and those midday naps are key.
Well, sometimes the midnight day naps arrive and they're not scheduled.
Right?
They're an unscheduled nap.
Yep, that's it.
You know, you can catch a few winks on the subway or the streetcar on the way home. Unintentionally, not really organized that way. But, you know, the really interesting thing is people think that we're really entrenched one way or the other. And it's actually not part of our DNA. It's a learned behavior.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I'm like a robot, you know, like a time and because you're on the air at certain times and you have to be there. You can't, so there's no sort of wiggle room. But I was the person in high school who I could never make the bus. I could never make the bus on time, and it would be down.
How's you running?
It was pretty good. I mean, I'd have to run for the bus literally every day. Sometimes they'd wait, sometimes they wouldn't. My parents would have to work extra hard just to drag me out of bed. Like, I just wouldn't get out of bed. So for them, this is sort of, wow,
Yeah.
real payback.
Yeah.
It's all come around that I sort of have to get up at the hours that I do, and the level of structure.
No, I feel like you are my child. I don't think my child could ever be a broadcaster. Dragging her out of bed is a nightmare. But no, me, I'm up at the crack of dawn and I'm in bed before sunset. So
She's right too. I've heard the conversations.
Yes.
Get out of bed.
That's it. You've heard me screaming, you're gonna miss the bus.
That's right. It is 6:40, so get out of bed. If you need to get to work or get to your job, do not miss the bus.
Exactly.
I won't wait for you. You're going to have to up your running skills. You're listening to Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1, 99.1. Also on the CBC Listen app. Intimate partner violence has been declared an epidemic in cities across the GTA. But even so, getting help when you need it is a huge obstacle for people in an abusive relationship. A new online portal in York Region wants to change that. Helena Kamika is the president of Abuse Hurts. She's here this morning to tell us about the platform EmpowerWeb. Helena, good morning.
Good morning, Jill. Thanks for having me.
I'd like to know about the platform. What exactly does it do?
It's like an online learning portal, but the content is what's so different and how it's delivered. It's more interactive and more trauma-informed approach. So it understands and is less likely to re-traumatize a survivor as they're going through the material.
And how does it do that? How is it less likely to re-traumatize someone?
All of the information is co-created with persons of lived experience, so they understand exactly what it's like to go through the different topics and experiences. So it's like holding the hand of the survivor and taking them on a really intimate, detailed tour of whatever information and that they need to look at.
But it's not just about information. I understand there's also services that are available to an individual on this particular platform. Can you walk me through the range of services?
Sure. Yeah, information isn't the exact word, but it's so hard to encapsulate in a word because it's so different. But it goes through everything from explaining, but see, explaining isn't the right word either because you're experiencing an in-depth info session about social services that are provided across the board. Everything from support services, shelters, and everything in between. Children's aid, police, whatever, I guess, gateway that you come into the system through, or if you might only need a shelter, it could be the only thing, but you might need to access several services depending, whether it's legal, financial, all involving gender-based violence. And then the other info sessions are about, I guess, life skills that coordinate and that are compatible with the other social services, just all to empower you and not increase fear, stress, anxiety, and really equip you for a completely different future.
They've been coming to this app at a critical point in their life, fleeing domestic violence, and there could be fears that accessing an online platform would leave behind a trace for their abuser to find. How does the platform address this issue?
We have some safeguards put in place, but we also instruct them right at the very beginning, not only how to use the platform, it's very simple, it's not complicated, but also how to take safety precautions, everything from clearing your history to escaping the app that you're on, like instantly, just diverting the locale of where you are online. But if none of that's possible, because some people don't even have access to anything electronic or online means from home to something like this without possibly being walked in on. So we have made it available at every library location in York Region, and making it available meaning like it's already free and accessible by any electronic thing, but they're promoting it. They have information there. They encourage people to come to a safe place and access it on their computers, so you don't have to worry about that. And it also encourages you to, if you don't already have it, create a new Gmail or Hotmail account that is totally anonymous, that maybe your partner doesn't know anything about, because they might have passwords to everything you have.
Similar online services and helplines already exist. What makes this platform different?
The difference is it's the empowerment, which is why we call it Empower Web. It actually is more likely to encourage you and empower you to access the services that are available, because there's so much fear of the unknown, and it helps you fully understand. You might think, oh, I need to go to this women's support services or something like that, and then when you access the information sessions on these services, then you will realize, this is what they do, this is what they provide, but that's not what I'm looking for. It really helps you understand recidivism. I mean, in like same cycles, it'll break cycles, because a lot of women leave their domestic violence situation up to eight times before it sticks. So we believe it's going to decrease that and potentially save their lives as well, and help them reach out and access services much sooner than they normally would have. Some people wait until they've been in this situation 20 years. So we're hoping it will do that as well, because it's providing all those things that you need to take that bold step.
I know you are a survivor of intimate partner violence. How do you think this platform might have changed things for you?
It would have helped me get help sooner, for sure. And it would have even helped, like, even though when I did get out, I didn't really have much knowledge or access to systems. And so I was just floating through life in my very dysfunctional state, because it alters you when you're in a domestic violence situation. So when I finally was able to come upon the help I needed, it was life-changing for me. And we want that same life-changing thing sooner and more effective for women today.
What does it mean to you to be able to take those lived experiences, as painful as they were, and turn it into something that could help someone else?
It's hard to describe that feeling. Our founder had said, I wish we had something like this 30 years ago when I was going through it, but she never would have founded our agency unless she had gone through what she'd gone through, because she is helping so many people. We out of USERTS are helping thousands of women every year, because we've been there, we understand, and it's an amazing feeling to be there for someone else when people weren't there for us.
Well, I appreciate you talking about the website, and I wish you much success with it, and I know that it will do a lot of good. Helena, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's a pleasure.
Helena Kamika is the president of Abuse Hurts, a charity that helps support survivors of violence. Their new online platform to help prevent gender-based violence, Empower Web, just launched in York Region. Here's Kevin Carrington.
Westbound 401 drags 412 to Salem, and it picks up after that, and then it delays heading into Scarborough. That's because westbound 401 collectors just past the Morningside. We have a crash blocking the two left lanes. Looks to be about 3 vehicles involved here. Emergency crews are on scene, and traffic is backing up from Meadowville, so stick to the express. We're just trouble-free on the rest of the major routes and bouncing back from the construction southbound 400 through Aurora Road. If you're traveling on the Winford ramp to the northbound DDP in that area, watch for a leaning construction sign. It's blocking a bit of your right lane. Joe?
Well, here's the kind of day you can face in Toronto today, whether you like it or not. There is a heat warning way up already, 22, with a humidex of 28. It is 10 minutes before 7 o'clock. He was found alone, ambling along a rural road in Hawkesbury, Ontario, crying out for his mother. It may sound like a scene from Bambi, but that was the predicament a blind baby moose called Cedar recently found himself in, and shortly after he was taken to an animal sanctuary near Ottawa. Now, the orphaned moose could soon call the Toronto Zoo home. Here with more is Dolph DeYoung, CEO of the Toronto Zoo. Dolph, good morning.
Good morning.
We talked about Cedar last week on the show because it's such a fascinating story. Where is Cedar now, and how is he doing?
So Cedar is still with the rescue group that found him on the side of the road, and so far indications are he's doing well. And that's a relative measure, right? We're talking about a visually impaired moose that was found on the side of the road, away from the parents. Not really the story we want to tell, but a moment where human compassion has come into play, and we're happy to hear he's putting on some weight and potentially may find a forever home right here in Toronto.
How did it get to that point where he was
separated from their parents? So we don't know if there was an incident or something that caused the condition. What we do know is we have an individual now who has limited choices, and working with various partners, one of those choices may be for him to have a new forever home at your Toronto Zoo.
How common is this, the blindness in a moose?
It's not something I've really run into So I'm guessing it's something that would happen, but often that nature would solve this, and we wouldn't necessarily find the individual.
A lot of people are hoping that the Toronto Zoo becomes Cedar's final stop, his hope, but that's not guaranteed yet. How come?
There's still a few steps to go, and I think it's rooted in an abundance of caution and care. First of all, is Cedar going to be able to grow up and thrive? So there's some assessments that still need to go on to make sure that he's going to be able to live as full a life as possible with the challenges he'll have. And one of the things our province, I think, does a great job is making sure we're not moving zoonotic disease around. I think everybody has caught on to the importance of quarantine after the pandemic, and with cervids in particular, you can get chronic wasting disease moving around. So the province is very vigilant, and we applaud them for that, for making sure we're not moving a potentially diseased individual around. So the tests will be run on that. We'll make sure that's good. Our team will talk to their veterinary team, and assuming those things line up, Cedar gets to call the Rouge Valley his new forever home.
And what if those things don't line up? What happens then?
Yeah, I think that's where it gets really tough. If we're not confident that Cedar can live a full life and he doesn't pass the health and disease scans, that's a scenario where you're likely going to be looking at a compassionate euthanasia situation.
So let's err on the positive when it comes to this conversation. If Cedar does arrive at the Toronto Zoo, what kind of home will he have?
Well, Cedar's got a long journey ahead if he ends up here. It'll start with, how our team wants to deal with quarantine. Will he actually move to a place in the Rouge Valley? We actually had a habitat that housed moose for decades, so it's right by the Rouge River. It's shaded. Our team will have to look at how we can provide care for this individual there and help them find their way around. And this is a really different scenario for us. We spend a lot of time talking about, with animals in our care, stimulating them, a lot of enrichment in their environment. With a visually impaired individual, that's a really different game. So it's going to be a whole new framework for us to make sure this individual can find their way around. And it's a dynamic one. If you know moose and male moose, he'll be growing antlers every year. So we want to make sure he's able to navigate the space safely and, again, thrive in that space.
Are you still just trying to figure that out?
Well, we're working through that, and the big part is our team actually connecting with the others involved and having those discussions to see what level of ability Cedar has. We believe he does have sight in one eye, so he'll likely have a different gait to him as he looks and navigates the space. But trying to ascertain that is the first step, and then the steps from there. He's still a youngster, so things like diet are key. We have a world-class nutrition team, a world-class vet care team. So it's not simple. I think a lot of people just say, "Oh, pick them up and put them here." That's not what we want to do at all.
Right.
This is the first time I've encountered this in 7 years. We don't want this to be a regular thing, but in Cedar's case, I think we have just this wonderful, unique opportunity for a good news story for this youngster.
But this young moose also lost his mother. So how does that add to the calculation of his transition?
Well, I think, the key piece with losing the mother at that age, the human folks have come in, but diet is so key. So we actually work with folks to make sure there's a mix. It's not a matter of just popping them onto cow's milk. There's actually unique mixes to make sure they have the right nutritional makeup, because we want to make sure he still grows up big, strong, healthy bones, all that good stuff. So that is the juvenile diet. And then when he's in a place like your Toronto Zoo, making sure he's a mix of browse and those types of things that moose would eat in the wild. So we need to be providing that mix. Watching moose forage, if you've actually seen them, it's an amazing journey, and they're big. This is an animal that will eventually be over 1,000 pounds, so that mix and the amount will be key. But that's for the next chapter. We still need to make sure he checks out for this one, and I just can't applaud the folks who put the work in to make this happen. And quite frankly, I'm blown away and just so happy to see the level of interest from community. It's a case where compassion
leadership review at the party's annual general meeting this September. We'll hear how she is fending off a bid to remove her. That conversation coming up after World Report at the top of the hour on Metro Morning here on CBC Radio 1.
Today on The Current.
I'm Catherine Cullen. The Canadian government is calling for more